In the quiet village of Umuaka, something strange happened that shook the hearts of everyone. All eyes were fixed on one maiden, Adane. Adane was once like every other young girl in the village. But now, what the people saw before them made even the bravest men tremble. Her face no longer looked human. Her skin shone as if fire had been rubbed in it. Her eyes sparkled like glass. And though she cried and washed and scrubbed, the beauty powder on her face refused to leave. Villagers whispered, "Is this Adane or a spirit? She must have used something. She touched what she should not have touched. Ah, Chineke, God help us. What kind of a thing is this?" Adane fell to her knees. "Please, somebody help me. I don't want this anymore. I am tired. I am tired." She poured water on her face until her clothes were wet. She rubbed sand on her cheeks until her skin bled, but nothing changed. The powder clung tighter and tighter, as if it had become part of her blood. The elders stepped forward, their walking sticks striking the earth. Among them was Elder Okoro, the oldest man in Umuaka. He shook his head and said slowly, "Adane, beauty that is forced will never last. We warned you, but you did not listen. The God did not give without taking something in return." The crowd gasped. Children hid behind their mothers because they were afraid of Adane. The young men who once chased after her beauty could not even look at her in the eyes anymore. But my dear viewers, do you know how Adane reached this point? Do you know why her beauty became her curse? Let us go back to the beginning. Back to the days before the powder touched her skin. Back to the time when envy sat quietly in her heart waiting to grow. And that is where Adane's story began. The story of Adane began many moons before her tears filled the village square. She was a maiden in Umuaka. Adane was not the most beautiful girl in the village, but she longed to be. Each time she walked to the stream, she saw how the young men greeted Ngozi, her childhood friend, with bright smiles and eager voices. "Good morning, Ngozi," they would say, rushing to carry her water pots. "Your smile is like the morning sun," another would add. Adane would walk behind, carrying her pot alone, watching the admiration showered on Ngozi, her friend. Her heart burned with jealousy. One evening, as Adane sat by herself under the udala tree, she whispered, "Why not me? Am I not a woman too? Why does the world only see her? One day, I will be more beautiful than all of them, even Ngozi." It was around this time that news spread through Umuaka. The drums beat. The prince is coming. Prince Obinna, son of King Ezeocha, is coming to choose a bride. The maidens of the village prepared their best wrappers and beads. They were all excited, but Adane felt no excitement, only fear. She stared at her reflection in a clay pot filled with water and muttered, "Ngozi will shine like the moon, and the prince will see only her. What about me?" So, that night, she could not sleep. She tossed on her raffia mat, her eyes filled with envy, her heart restless. The night crickets sang, and the wind carried whispers through the village. Then she heard a voice, soft but sharp, like the hiss of a snake. "Adane, if you want beauty, follow me." Her heart thumped in her chest. She looked around, but there was no one in her hut. And the voice came again. "Adane, come. Your beauty waits you." Fear and desire pulled at her. Against her better judgment, she stepped out in the moonlight night. Her bare feet touched the cool earth as she followed the sound. Past the sleeping huts, past the silent market square, into the thick forest she went. The moon guided her path until she reached an old shrine. Its clay walls cracked with age. There, sitting by the entrance, was an old woman. Her back was bent, her hair was grey and white like cotton, and her eyes glowed strangely in the dark. This was Mama Ejima, a spiritualist known to some but feared by many. "Child," Mama Ejima said with a crooked smile, "I have been waiting for you. Adane's voice trembled. You? You called me? The old woman nodded slowly. I heard the cry of your heart. You desire beauty. You wish to outshine all the maidens in your village. Am I right? And Adane nodded. Yes, Mama, you are right. I want to be more beautiful than all the maidens in the village. And Mama Ejima said, come inside. I will show you the secrets. Adane hesitated, her legs shaking, but her envy was stronger than her fear. She stepped into the shrine. And that, my dear viewers, was the night Adane walked into a darkness she did not understand. Prince Obinna had entered Umuaka village with his father's guards. The drums had been beaten to welcome him, and the maidens were ready and gathered, each one hoping he would choose them as a bride. But when his eyes fell on Adane that morning, his steps slowed. He stared as if he had seen a goddess descend from the sky. Her skin glowed with a brightness he had never known. Her smile pulled at his heart like a rope. Every other maiden disappeared from his sight. Who is she? The prince asked. That is Adane, my prince, one of his guards replied, bowing. She is from the family of Obioma the farmer. Prince Obinna's lips curved into a smile. Adane, he said softly, as if testing the name on his tongue. Adane could sense that the prince was admiring her, and she said in her heart, I think Mama Ejima's magic is working, because I think I'm looking more beautiful than all the maidens gathered here. Tell me why the prince has been looking at me. She was so excited, but she carried herself with poise. Adane lowered her eyes shyly, but inside her heart, she was dancing. Maiden, the prince said, standing before her, what is your name? Adane's voice shook, though she tried to sound calm. My name is Adane, my prince. Adane, he repeated, his eyes fixed on her. From this day, the palace shall know your name, for truly the gods have hidden the moon in your face. The crowd gasped. Ah! Some clapped in joy, others murmured in shock. Ngozi, who had always been praised as the jewel of Umuaka village, stood frozen, her water pot slipping from her hands. She could not believe what she was seeing. Adane's heart leaped with pride. Her dream was no longer just a dream. She had captured the prince. She had stolen the eyes of the entire village. But my dear viewers, in the midst of all this, Mama Ejima's words echoed like a whisper carried by the wind. Everything sweet has its price. Adane heard nothing but the cheering of the crowd. She smiled brightly, not knowing that this was only the beginning of her troubles. From that day onward, Adane's life in Umuaka changed. Everywhere she went, eyes followed her. Men no longer looked at other maidens. Their mouths only called one name, Adane. At the stream, young men rushed to fetch water for her before she even bent down. Adane, let me fill your pot for you. No, let me carry it for you. They pushed and argued, splashing water everywhere. In the marketplace, traders lowered their prices just to see her smile. Take it, Adane. Pay nothing, they will say, pressing ripe fruits and fine clothes into her hands for free. At night, she could not sleep because suitors came to her compound, singing her name under the moon. Some brought roasted yams, others brought calabashes of palm wine, each man hoping she would notice him. But the attention was too much. One evening, as she tried to return from the market, a crowd of men followed her, each one begging, marry me, Adane. No, she will marry me. Leave her, she is mine. Men kept on arguing over her. They shouted until fists flew, and a fight broke out in the middle of the road. Mothers pulled their sons away. Fathers scolded, but no one could control the madness. Adane ran home, her heart beating fast. She locked her door and sat on her mat, trembling. The very beauty she had desired so much was now choking her. Her mother noticed her worry. My daughter, she said gently, you shine like the sun, but the sun burns when it is too close. Are you sure this gift is a blessing? Adane forced a smile. Mama, don't worry. Everything is fine. But deep inside, fear had already started to grow. She thought to herself, I wanted to look more beautiful than everybody, but this thing is becoming a problem to me. I can't even sleep at night because people keep following me. Still, when she looked at her glowing reflection in the water pot, she whispered, at least the prince wants me. At least I will soon be queen. But as she smiled to herself, a strange wind blew through the window, carrying a whisper that only she could hear. Adane, everything sweet has its price. She shivered. The voice sounded like Mama Ejima, the spiritualist she met at the forest. She quickly covered her ears, but the words had already sunk into her heart. The next morning, Adane woke up before the cock crowed. She reached for the small calabash of powder Mama Ejima had given her, ready to rub it on her face before stepping out. But when she looked into her clay pot of water, she gasped. Her face was already glowing, brighter than before. She had not touched the powder, yet her skin shone as if the sun itself lived inside her. Adane dipped her fingers into the calabash to check, but the powder inside had not reduced. Still full, still glowing, still waiting. Fear pricked her chest. What is happening? She whispered. But before doubt could settle, her pride pushed it aside. She tied her wrapper, adorned her neck with beads, and stepped into the morning light. The villagers once again froze at the sight of her. Adane, you are even more beautiful than yesterday. Is she truly human, or has the goddess taken her form? The gods had blessed Umuaka indeed. And when Prince Obinna heard of her beauty, he sent words that she must come to the palace feast that night. Adane's heart leaped. The dream was unfolding faster than she imagined. She smiled proudly, ignoring the unease in her chest. That evening, at the palace courtyard, maidens lined up in colorful wrappers, their faces shining with palm oil, each one hoping to catch the prince's eyes. But the moment Adane stepped forward, the crowd erupted in whispers. Even the flaming torches seemed to bow to her glow. Prince Obinna rose from his father's side and came straight to her. He did not look left or right. His gaze fixed on only Adane. Taking her hand, he announced, "This is the maiden I choose." The courtyard exploded with cheers, though not everyone clapped with joy. Ngozi's heart broke as she watched her closest friend stand beside the prince. Her eyes filled with tears, but she said nothing. Adane raised her head high, proud and victorious. Yet, deep inside, as the prince's hand gripped hers, the strange thought returned. I did not rub the powder today, so why does my face still shine? She asked herself. And while the feast roared on, in a quiet corner of the courtyard, a small shadow appeared and vanished. An old woman's figure smiling silently in the dark. It was Mama Ejima. From the night of the palace feast, Adane's name spread beyond Umuaka village. Travelers carried her story to nearby villages. Hunters sang of her beauty as they roasted bushmeat by the fire. Even strangers began to journey just to catch a glimpse of her face. At first, Adane felt proud. She walked through the village square with her head lifted high, the prince's promise echoing in her ears. You are the maiden I choose. But as the days passed, the weight of her new beauty began to press down on her. When she went to the stream, men crowded around, splashing and fighting to fill her pots. Their quarrels shook the peace of the waters until even the fish swam away in fear. At the market, young men blocked her path, shoving one another just to touch the edge of her wrapper. Traders forgot their goods, chasing her with gifts she did not ask for. Adane, take these goats. No, take my yams. Adane, wear these clothes. It is for queens only. Her compound became a gathering place each night. Suitors came with drums, flutes, and songs. Some brought wine, others roasted meat. They sang until her ears rang, until she wished for silence more than sleep. Her mother shook her head in worry. My daughter, what is happening? This is no longer ordinary. You cannot eat, you cannot rest. Beauty that steals your peace is not beauty. It is bondage. But Adane only forced a smile. Mama, do not worry. The prince loves me. Soon, I will be queen. And you'll be a mother to a queen. Don't you like that, Mama? Yet, when she was alone in her hut, fear grew in her heart. She had stopped using the powder, yet her face glowed brighter each day. She rubbed and washed, but the shine would not leave. Instead of fading, it spread until her whole skin looked like polished glass. Children began to point and whisper when she passed. Some even ran away crying. Adane is no longer a girl. She is a spirit. One night, as she covered her face with a cloth, she heard a faint laugh in the wind. The laugh was dry, old, and familiar. It was Mama Ejima's voice. Adane, the whisper came. You wanted beauty. Now live with it. The spirits do not give for free. Adane's heart trembled. She pulled the cloth tighter around her glowing face. For the first time since her journey to the shrine, she wished she could return to her old self. One morning, Adane could no longer bear it. The glow on her skin had become too bright, too strange. When she walked past, goats bleated and ran. Chickens flapped their wings widely, and even dogs barked as if warning of danger. She rushed to the stream before anyone could see her. Kneeling by the water, she splashed her face again and again, scrubbing with both hands until her cheeks turned red. She dipped sand from the riverbed and rubbed it hard, hoping to scrape the shine away. But when she looked down at her reflection, she screamed. Her face shone brighter than before, as if the water itself had polished it. No, no, this cannot be, she cried, striking the surface of the stream until ripples scattered her reflection. She ran back home, grabbed palm oil, and rubbed it all over her skin. She poured ashes from the heart on her arms, thinking it would hide the glow. But when she wiped herself, her skin sparkled even more, as though the powder had entered her blood. Her mother rushed into the hut. Adane, what are you doing to yourself? Mama, she sobbed, I don't want this beauty anymore. I want my old face back. Her mother looked at her in confusion. Your face is shining like fire. What have you done, my child? Tell me the truth. But Adane shook her head ashamed, unable to confess that she had taken the powder from the shrine. That night, she lay awake, covering her face with a wrapper. Outside her hut, the suitors gathered again, singing, clapping, calling her name until her voices filled the night sky. But Adane pressed her palms against her ears, tears rolling down her glowing cheeks. In the quiet between songs, she heard it again, the same dry, mocking laugh. Ha 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 ha! Did I not warn you, Adane? Her eyes widened. She looked around, but no one was there. The voice seemed to come from inside her very skin. Everything sweet has its price, Mama Ejima whispered in the darkness. Adane shivered, coiling up on her mat. For the first time, she understood her beauty was no longer hers to control. Ngozi watched everything in silence. Once, she had been the jewel of Umuaka, the maiden whose smile made the young men forget their troubles. But since Adane's sudden transformation, the village barely noticed her. Still, Ngozi's heart was not filled with envy, but with worry. She had known Adane since childhood. They had fetched water together, laughed under the moonlight, shared roasted maize by the fire. Now her friend looked different, too different. One afternoon, as Ngozi returned from the stream, she saw Adane sitting alone beneath the udala tree. Adane's face was covered with a wrapper, though light still seemed to shine through the clothes. Her shoulders shook as she cried. Ngozi placed her pot down gently and knelt beside her. Adane, my sister, why are you hiding your face? Why do you cry when the whole world envies you? Adane turned away, her voice breaking. Leave me, Ngozi. You will not understand. But Ngozi pressed her hand softly on her friend's arm. I see it, Adane. The men chase you, but your eyes are filled with fear. You no longer walk freely. You no longer laugh. Tell me, what burden are you carrying? For a moment, Adane almost spoke the truth. The words sat heavy on her tongue, but shame gripped her, and she shook her head. Nothing. I am only tired. Ngozi sighed. My mother always says beauty is like palm wine, sweet at first, but too much will make you dizzy. I fear for you, Adane. That evening, as the sun set, Prince Obinna came to Adane's compound. At first, she rejoiced, thinking he had come to sit with her as he often did. But when he saw her face in the fading light, his smile faltered. The glow had grown strange, unnatural. Her skin looked too smooth, too sharp, almost like polished glass. The prince stepped back slightly. Adane, are you well? She forced a laugh. Of course, my prince, why do you ask? He hesitated, then shook his head. Nothing. Perhaps the light is playing tricks on my eyes. But as he left that night, he murmured to himself, her beauty burns too brightly. It no longer looks like a gift of the gods. It looks like a curse. And for the first time, doubt entered the prince's heart. That night, Adane tossed and turned on her raffia mat. The prince's words echoed in her ears. It looks like a curse. She pressed her palms against her glowing face, her heart beating fast. I cannot live like this anymore, she whispered to herself. I want my old face back. I want peace. Before dawn, she rushed to the stream again. The air was cold and mist floated above the water. She knelt quickly, scooped water with both hands and splashed it on her face. She rubbed and rubbed until her skin ached. Still, the glow refused to fade. No, no, she cried, digging into the sand, scrubbing harder. Her reflection only shimmered more brightly, almost mocking her. When she returned home, she locked herself inside her hut. She tried everything. She rubbed palm oil. She smashed charcoal. She pressed bitter leaf against her skin, but the powder clung tighter, as if it had melted into her very blood. Her mother banged on the door. Adane, open up. What are you doing inside? Mama, leave me, please. Leave me. Adane wept, her voice shaking. At last, she collapsed on the floor, tears soaking her wrapper. She whispered to herself, this beauty has become a prison. I wanted to shine, but now I am trapped. That night, she dreamt again of Mama Ejima. The old woman appeared in a dark forest. Her bent back silhouetted against the moon. She laughed, her voice echoing like the hiss of a snake. Did I not warn you, child? She croaked. Everything sweet has its price. You wanted the face of the gods. Now it belongs to you forever. Wash, scrub, bleed. It will not leave you. Adane screamed in her dream. Please take it back. I don't want it anymore. But Mama Ejima only shook her head slowly. You cannot return what the spirits have already claimed. The path you chose has no easy way back. Adane woke up sweating, her chest heavy, her heart racing. She knew then that she was truly trapped. Outside her hut, the suitors were already singing again, their voices filling the night. But this time, the sound no longer flattered her. It sounded like chains tightening around her soul. The next morning, Adane stepped out of her hut, her wrapper tied loosely around her chest. The sun had only just risen, but her face was already brighter than daylight. The villagers paused in their work. A woman carrying firewood stopped. Her beauty, once admired, had become too sharp, too unnatural. It frightened the people. Everywhere she walked, whispers followed her. Some women shook their heads, muttering prayers. Some men who had once sung her name now looked away nervously. Ngozi saw it all, and her heart grew heavier. She followed her friend after the market, trying to comfort her. Adane, can you not see? The village no longer sees you as one of them. They think you are something else. Something, not human. Adane covered her face with her hands. I did not want this, Ngozi. I only wanted to be loved. I only wanted to look beautiful. I wanted the prince to see me. Ngozi took her hands gently. But now the prince himself is drawing back. Did you not notice? Adane froze. It was true. When Prince Obinna had come the last time, he had looked her in the eyes the way he once did. His smile had been forced, his steps uneasy, and when he left, he had not promised to return quickly. That evening, Adane went to the palace herself, desperate to speak with him. The guards let her in, bowing as usual, but their eyes lingered too long, unsettled. She entered the courtyard and there he was, Obinna, sitting with two of his advisers. When he saw her, he stood, but instead of delight, his face showed discomfort. He walked forward slowly. Adane, he said softly, you are beautiful, but your beauty no longer feels natural. It burns the eyes. It does not look like something the gods gave in kindness. It frightens me. Her lips trembled. Are you saying you no longer want me, my prince? He looked away, unable to answer. That silence was enough. Adane's knees grew weak. Her dream of becoming the prince's bride was slipping away. No matter how bright her face shone, and for the first time, she realized the powder had not given her love. It had only given her attention, the kind that cuts deeper than loneliness. That night, Adane could not sleep. She lay on her mat. The prince's silence burned in her chest like fire. If even Obinna cannot love me as I am, she whispered to herself, then what use is this cursed beauty? Before dawn, she wrapped herself in a dark cloth and slipped quietly out of the compound. The village was still asleep, only the crickets and the rustling trees keeping her company. Her heart pounded as she hurried through the narrow forest. She did not stop until she reached the old shrine, the place where she had stolen the powder. The clay walls were cracked and cobwebs covered the corners. The air smelled of dust and dry leaves. Mame Ejima, Adane called, her voice trembling. I beg you, help me. Take this beauty away from me. I don't want it anymore. At first, only silence answered. She fell to her knees, weeping, beating her chest. Please, Mame Ejima, I cannot bear it anymore. I cannot sleep. I cannot eat. I cannot live. I beg you, take it back. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the shrine. The fire in the clay pot by the wall flickered to life. From the shadows, the old woman appeared, her bent back shaking as she laughed. Child, Mame Ejima croaked. Did I not tell you? Everything sweet has its price. Adane crawled on her knees, her palms pressed together. I will do anything. I will sweep your shrine. I will bring sacrifices. Just take the beauty away. But the old woman's eyes glowed red in the dark. You cannot wash away that has entered your blood. You wanted to shine brighter than the sun. Now you belong to it, unless... Adane raised her head quickly. Unless what, Mama? Tell me. The old woman leaned closer, her breath hot like smoke. Unless you are ready to pay a greater price than you can imagine. Adane's heart froze. She opened her mouth to ask, but Mame Ejima vanished into the shadows, leaving only her mocking laugh behind. Ha 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 ha! Greater prize! Greater prize! Adane remained on the shrine floor shaking, her tears soaking the dust. She knew then that her suffering had only just begun. Adane returned home from the shrine with trembling steps. Her wrapper was stained with dust, her eyes swollen from tears. She could still hear Mame Ejima's words in her head. Unless you are ready to pay a greater price. For days, she avoided everyone. She no longer went to the markets. She no longer fetched water from the stream. She stayed inside her hut, hiding her face with clothes, though the glow still leaked through like the moonlight beneath a roof. But the village grew restless. People whispered that Adane was no longer human. Some called her a spirit bride. Some said she had sold herself to the gods. Even children, once eager to play around her, now ran when she passed. Finally, Adane could no longer bear the torments. Late one night, she went back to the shrine again. The moon was full, the air was heavy, and the trees creaked like old men sighing. She fell to the ground before the dark altar, her voice breaking. Mama Ejima, I am ready. Tell me what I must do. I will pay the price, no matter how hard. Only take this beauty from me. The air grew thick. The shadows shifted from the darkness. Mama Ejima appeared again. Her back bent, her face wrinkled like dry bark. Her eyes glowed faintly as she leaned on her crooked staff. You say you are ready? Then hear me well. To break what you took, you must give up what you love the most. Beauty once stolen cannot be erased without blood or sacrifice. Adane's voice shook. What must I give? My beads? My gold? My clothes? The old woman chuckled dryly. Foolish child, you must give your joy, the one thing that warms your heart. You must give it back to the spirits. Adane gasped. My joy? Mama Ejima's voice deepened. The prince. Adane's eyes widened, her breath catching in her throat. Yes, the old woman hissed. If you want to be free, you must let him go forever. He must never see your face again. You must erase yourself from his life like a shadow at midday. Only then will the powder fade. Adane collapsed to the ground, weeping bitterly. The thought of losing Prince Obinna was like tearing her soul apart. After all, Prince Obinna was the main reason why she started all this in the first place. But Mama Ejima only turned away, her laugh echoing through the shrine. Everything sweet has its price. And then she was gone. Adane lay on the cold floor, torn between two pains. The pain of keeping her cursed beauty and the pain of losing the man she had fought so hard to win. For many nights, Adane could not sleep. Mama Ejima's words echoed in her mind. If you want to be free, you must give up the prince. She paced her heart like a restless bird in a cage. Could she truly abandon Obinna, the man whose love had driven her to the powder in the first place? The thought tore her apart. No, she whispered fiercely. I cannot lose him. I will not. The next day, she dressed herself in her finest wrapper and bead, tied her hair with a red thread, and set out for the palace. Her heart pounded as she walked through the village. The people stared again, shielding their eyes from the strange glow of her face. Some muttered prayers, others spat on the ground, but Adane ignored them. She was determined to hold on to Obinna. When she entered the palace yard, Prince Obinna himself was there, speaking with his father's chiefs. The moment he saw her, he froze. His eyes narrowed as though he saw something frightening. Adane, he began, stepping back slightly. She rushed forward, falling to her knees before him. My prince, please do not turn away from me. It is me, Adane, the one who loves you. But Obinna's face was pale. Adane, what have you become? Your beauty, it no longer looks like a blessing. It feels heavy like a curse. Her eyes filled with tears. She grabbed his feet desperately, still kneeling down. No, my prince, do not leave me. Whatever you see, it is still me. I love you, please. Do not send me away. The chiefs shifted uneasily, whispering to themselves. One of them muttered, the spirits marks this one. She is dangerous. Obinna pulled his feet gently from her grasp. His voice trembled. Adane, I do not know what happened to you, but this is not the woman I once admired. I cannot stand beside you if your beauty burns like fire. Those words cut her deeper than any knife. She wanted to scream, to tear the glow from her skin, but instead she stumbled back, covering her face with both hands. Obinna, she whispered, her heart breaking. The prince turned away, and in that moment, Adane realized the truth. She could never truly hold him. The powder had given her admiration, but not love. And the one thing she wanted most was slipping further and further from her grasp. And she left the palace. The words of Mama Ejima returned like a ghost. You must give him up, or the curse will remain forever. And for the first time, Adane began to understand that she could not fight both the spirits and her own heart. By now, the whole village of Umaka was restless. Everywhere Adane went, eyes followed her, not with admiration anymore, but with suspicion and fear. Mothers pulled their children away from her paths. Young men who once sang her name now crossed the road when they saw her coming. Even the elders muttered that such beauty could not be natural. She shines too much, an old man whispered as she passed the market. No mortal should glow like this. Another spat on the ground. It is the work of spirits, mark my words, nothing good will come from her. At first, Adane tried to ignore them, but soon even her own family began to change. One evening, her younger brother, Ikenna, refused to eat from the same bowl as her. Mama, he cried, pushing the plate of food away. Adane's face scares me. When she looks at me, I feel cold. Their mother tried to hush him, but her own eyes betrayed her unease. That night, when she thought Adane was asleep, she whispered to her husband, "This beauty is not of God. What if she brings misfortune upon us?" Adane heard everything. Her heart shattered. She coiled up on her mat, sobbing silently. Even her own parents were beginning to fear her. The next morning, when she stepped outside, a group of village women gathered at the compound gates. They pointed at her, their voices sharp. "She has bewitched our son, so she walks like a spirit bride. She must be cleansed before she brings calamity." Adane's legs shook. She tried to speak, but her voice was drowned by their cries. Her mother stood frozen. Her father kept silence. And in that silence, Adane felt more alone than ever. She turned and ran, deeper into the forest, her tears falling like rain. Her heart pounded with the truth. Not even her family could stand beside her now. As she reached the lonely path, Mama Ejima's laughter echoed again in her ears, though the woman was nowhere to be seen. "Ha ha ha ha, did I not warn you, child? Everything sweet has its price." Adane covered her ears, but the voice was inside her, coiling around her like smoke. And with each step, the weight of her cursed beauty grew heavier. Adane wandered deeper into the forest, far from the voices of the villagers. She found a small clearing under an iroko tree and sank to the ground, her body shaking with sobs. The forest was quiet except for the cries of night birds and the rustle of leaves. She stayed there for hours, afraid to return home, afraid to face the angry eyes of her people. When the sun began to set, she coiled up on the bare earth, whispering to herself, "I am cursed, I am cursed." Back in the village, news spread quickly. Adane has fled into the forest. Some rejoiced, saying village was safer without her. Others warned that a girl touched by spirits might return with greater powers. But one person did not join in the gossip. It was Ngozi, her friend. She sat quietly, her heart heavy with worry. She remembered their childhood. Adane had once been gentle, playful and full of laughter. Now she was broken, and everyone had turned against her. That night, when the moon rose, Ngozi made a decision. She filled calabash with water, packed roasted palm oil and yam, and slipped into the forest with a lantern. Her mother tried to stop her. "Ngozi, leave that girl alone. She has chosen her path. Do not follow her into darkness." But Ngozi shook her head firmly. "Mama, a true friend does not run when trouble comes. I must go." The forest path was long and filled with shadows. Owls hooted, and the wind whispered like voices. Still, Ngozi pressed on until she found Adane sitting beneath the iroko tree, her face covered with wrapper. "Adane," Ngozi called softly. Adane lifted her head slowly. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and the glow of her face still shone faintly through the clothes. When she saw her friend, she burst into fresh tears. "Why have you come? Everyone else has left me. Even my parents are afraid of me. Why are you here?" Ngozi set down the calabash and food, kneeling beside her. "Because you are still my friend, Adane. I will not leave you to suffer alone." Adane clung to her, weeping into her shoulder. "Ngozi, I don't know how to stop this. I want my old life back." Ngozi held her tightly, whispering, "Then we will find a way. Even if the whole village rejects you, I will not." For the first time in many days, Adane's sobs slowed. She looked at Ngozi, a tiny spark of hope flickering in her heart. But far above, hidden among the trees, an owl stretched, a warning that the spirits were watching. The morning after Ngozi found Adane in the forest, she refused to let her friend sit in silence. She set the calabash before her, urging her to eat. Adane, crying alone will not free you, she said gently. If Mama Ejima's shrine brought this curse, then maybe the elders of the village can help. Adane shook her head quickly, fear flashing in her eyes. No, the elders already suspect me. If I go to them, they will call me a witch. They will cast me out forever. Ngozi placed a firm hand on hers. Adane, hiding will not save you. The more you hide, the more people will fear you. But if you tell the truth, maybe, just maybe, there is still a way to break this. Adane looked away, tears welling in her eyes. Ngozi, I am ashamed. I stole the powder. I disobeyed the spirits. If I confess, they will never forgive me. Ngozi sighed. It is true that you made a mistake, but secrets rot faster than open wounds. If you keep this buried, the curse will only grow stronger. Adane buried her face in her hands. She wanted to believe her friend, but Mama Ejima's words still echoed in her mind. You must pay a greater price. That evening, when the moon began to rise, Ngozi stood and pulled Adane up. Tomorrow, I will go with you to the elders. You will not face them alone. Adane's legs trembled. She wanted to refuse, but something inside her whispered that Ngozi was right. Maybe this was the only chance she had left. But as they prepared to leave the forest, a sudden gust of wind blew through the trees, snuffing out Ngozi's lantern. The darkness was so thick, it swallowed their breaths, and then, out of nowhere, Mama Ejima's laughter slittered through the night. Ha 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 ha! You think the elders can save you? Foolish children! The spirits do not forgive thieves so easily. Adane clutched Ngozi's hands, her body shaking. Ngozi tightened her grip, whispering, Do not fear. Tomorrow we will face them together. But Adane's heart raced. She knew the road ahead would not be simple. The next morning, Adane and Ngozi walked back into the village together. People stopped whatever they were doing to stare. Whispers spread like dry harmattan fire. Is that not Adane? She has returned from the forest. See how her face still glows, even under the sun. Children clung to their mothers' wrappers, picking at her with wide, fearful eyes. Some of the men crossed their arms and muttered, This girl will bring disaster upon our village. But Ngozi kept her head high, holding Adane's hand tightly. She led her straight to the village square where the elders sat beneath the ancient Ogirisi tree. Their walking sticks were planted firmly in the ground, and their faces were stern. When the two girls approached, the eldest elder, Ofo the wise, raised his hand. Adane, daughter of Mazi Okeke, he said, his deep voice carrying across the square. Why have you come before us looking like a spirit bride? Adane froze, her lips trembling. The crowd leaned closer, eager to hear. Ngozi stepped forward bravely. Great elders, I am here with my friend. She has suffered alone for too long. She must speak and you must listen. One of the elders frowned. Ngozi, this matter is heavy. Do not speak for her. Let the girl confess with her own tongue. All eyes turned to Adane. Her chest rose and fell quickly. Tears filled her eyes as she sank to her knees, bowing low to the elders. My fathers, she began, her voice shaking and fear covering her. Please forgive me. What you see on my face is not a blessing. It is not a gift from the gods. I stole it. Gasps rose from the crowd. Women covered their mouths, and the men muttered in disbelief. Adane wept openly. I went to Mama Ejima's shrine. I saw a calabash filled with powder. She warned me not to touch it, but I wanted to be more beautiful than every maiden in the village. I wanted the prince to love me, so I took it. I used it, and now it will not leave my skin. Her words fell heavy like stones. The elders exchanged long glances. Finally, Ofo the wise struck his staff on the ground. Adane, you have broken the laws of the spirits. You have brought shame upon your family and fear upon this village. Adane bowed her head, her tears soaking the earth. I know, my fathers. I beg for mercy. Tell me what I must do to be free. The oldest man narrowed. There is only one way, my child. A thief cannot free herself. The spirits must be appeased. A sacrifice must be made. The crowd erupted in murmurs. Some cried for punishments, others for pity. Adane's heart thundered like a drum. She remembered Mama Ejima's words, "You must pay a greater price." But what sacrifice would the elders demand? The murmurs of the villagers grew louder. Some shouted, "Banish her!" Others cried, "Let the spirits take her." The square shook with voices, but Ofo the wise raised his hands and silence fell again. He looked deeply at Adane, who still knelt on the bare earth, her glowing face bowed in shame. "Adane," he said, "beauty stolen from the spirits cannot be erased with water, oil, or herbs. It must be returned with a sacrifice." Adane lifted her head, her eyes swollen with tears. "Tell me, my father, what sacrifice?" The elder leaned on his staff. "The spirits do not demand goats or yams. They do not want kola nuts or palm wine. They want what you love most in the world. Only that will cleanse the spirits." The crowd gasped. Everyone knew what Adane loved most. The whispers started immediately. "The prince! It must be Prince Obinna. She must give him up." Adane's heart nearly stopped. Mama Ejima's warning echoed in her ears. "You must pay the price. He must never see your face again. You must give up the prince." Her body shook as she cried out, "No, please, not him. Anything else, elders. Take my beads, take my hair, even my life, but not Obinna." But Ofo, the wise, struck his staff again. "The law of the spirits is not ours to change. You reached for what was not yours, and now you must pay. If you continue to hold the prince in your heart, the curse will remain. But if you let him go forever, the powder will fade." Adane collapsed forward, her forehead pressed against the ground, sobbing. Ngozi knelt beside her, holding her shoulders tightly. "Adane, you must be strong. If this is the only way, then you must choose between your love and your freedom." But Adane's cries pierced the air like a wounded bird. She could not imagine a life without Prince Obinna. Yet she could not endure the torment of her cursed beauty any longer. The villagers watched in silence, waiting to see what choice she would make. That night, Adane made one last desperate attempt. She went secretly to the palace, hoping to see Prince Obinna, to touch him once more before obeying the elders. But when he saw her, he stepped back, fear in his eyes. "Adane," he said, "whatever you have become, I cannot follow you there. Your beauty blinds me, but it does not warm my heart. Please let me go." His words broke her spirit completely. She returned to the forest where Mama Ejima's shrine stood. For the final time, she knelt before the old woman and cried, "I am ready. Take him from my heart, even if it kills me." Mama Ejima's voice was cold. "So be it. What you stole, you must return. From this day forward, Prince Obinna will never see your face again. His heart will forget you, and your beauty will fade back into dust." And with that, Adane's glow began to dim. Slowly, painfully, her skin returned to its natural state, but so did her life. Prince Obinna no longer looked her way, and the villagers, though no longer afraid, treated her with pity instead of admiration. Adane learned too late that true love could not be stolen, and beauty without peace is a curse. Now, the moral of this story, my dear viewers, is this: greed and envy lead to destruction. When we are not content with who we are, we may chase shadows that leaves us empty. True beauty is not in the face, but in the heart, and no powder, charm, or spirit can replace that. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you can still hear my voice, it means you listened to this story to the very end, and I do not take your support for granted. Kindly drop a heart message or a comment in the comment section if you actually listened to the very end, I have a gift for you. Thank you so much. My name is Oni of Oni Stories and Folktales. And please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly click on the subscribe button, turn on the notifications. So when I post more interesting stories, you'll be the first to get them. And if you're a returning subscriber, hey, thank you so much for listening to my story. I do not take you for granted. I really appreciate your support. And trust me when I say I have loads and loads of interesting stories on my channel that you will love to watch. So relax, take a popcorn, relax on my channel and binge until I see you again in my next video. Bye-bye.